Hi everyone, hope you're okay. We've been experiencing some technical issues, unfortunately. So between myself and my colleague Lee, hopefully we'll be able to get started. But we just want to check before we do if everyone can see the slides on their screen. If you can just do a wee thumbs up or let us know in the chat. Yep, okay, that's great. So it's just me, I can't see the slides, so this should be fun. So thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. We've had a slight change of plans. So not only are we having technical issues, we have a wee change of plans. So I'm Suzanne McQuaid. I'll be hosting the session today as part of our webinars for the workforce series. So in today's session, we'll be exploring the skills that organisations in the workforce are telling us that they need most and how flexible professional development can address some of those challenges. And we'll begin by looking at some of the key findings from this year's Skills at Work report and then showcase a selection of our CPD opportunities. And we'll finish by sharing how you can learn more about our September intake, how you can request a copy of the Skills at Work 2026 report, and how to get in touch so you can discuss your organisation's development needs with our team. So we'll keep the session to around 20 minutes before opening the floor for questions. So earlier this year, we undertook one of our largest workforce insight activities to date. For the first time, we gathered perspectives from both employers and employees alongside contributions from an industry roundtable to better understand emerging workforce skills challenges and development priorities. The findings are intended to provide directional insight into the experiences and priorities of those who participated rather than a statistically representative picture of employers and employees across Scotland. These insights formed the basis of our Skills at Work 2026 report. But today's webinar isn't intended to be a presentation of stats. Instead, we'll use this research to explore some of the wider trends affecting organisations, what these findings might mean in practice for managers, HR and learning professionals, and how organisations can respond through practical workforce development. So whether you're looking to develop your own skills or build capability across your organisation, the aim is to leave you with some practical ideas and clear development pathways that support workforce needs. So through our research this year, what did we actually hear? So there are a few findings that I think are particularly important in understanding the current workforce environment. Firstly, skills gaps remain widespread, with 91% of employer respondents reporting that organisations are experiencing them. Additionally, time has overtaken budget and funding as the biggest barrier to learning among the employers we surveyed. So organisations may recognise the need to invest in development, but finding the time and capacity to action that is becoming increasingly difficult. Looking ahead, AI, leadership and data capability emerged as important priorities. Perhaps one of the most interesting findings came from comparing employer and employee perspectives. Employers surveyed were generally more confident about their organisation's ability to respond to change, while employees were less confident about their own preparedness and the support available to help them adapt. Employees are also increasingly looking to learning and development to support the longer term career progression, rather than simply helping them perform their current role. So the message coming through is that workforce development needs to work for both employers and employees. It needs to address the capabilities that organisations need, while also providing meaningful opportunities for people to develop and progress. So let's look first at what employers are telling us about the capabilities that they need. One of the clearest themes is that organisations are operating in an environment of continual change. AI and automation emerged as key skills priorities, alongside leadership and people management, and digital and data capabilities are also becoming increasingly important. But there was another finding here that I think is particularly significant. Employers showed a strong preference for developing the people they already have. Almost 90% of employer respondents said that they would consider training existing staff to address skills gaps, compared with around a third who would look to recruit new staff. So there is a clear message around developing internal capability rather than simply trying to recruit a way out of skills shortages. But identifying the capabilities organisations need is only part of the picture. The next question is whether organisations actually have the capacity to develop them. So while organisations are clear about the capabilities they want to build, they're equally clear about the barriers they face. As already noted, this year's research suggests that time and workload pressures have overtaken budget and funding as the most commonly reported barrier to workforce development among employer respondents. Employers described the challenge of balancing development with immediate operational priorities. And in fact, our industry roundtable reinforced this, with participants highlighting the time involved in organising and coordinating training and the difficulty of creating space for development alongside increasing day-to-day demands. So this isn't simply about whether organisations want to invest in learning, it's also about whether learning is designed in a way that fits realistically around people's working lives. And that points towards development that is accessible, relevant, and connected to the workplace, rather than something that sits separately from day-to-day work. And that brings us to the question of how workforce development needs to respond. The answer isn't simply more training. Our findings suggest that organisations need to think more broadly about workforce development, building adaptability and resilience that allows people to respond confidently as workplaces continue to evolve. Technical expertise remains important, but employers also highlighted broader capabilities such as leadership and people management, communication and collaboration, and digital and data capability. These are capabilities that can help organisations not just to respond to individual skills gaps, but to navigate continual change more effectively. And importantly, development needs to be practical and achievable. So I now want to highlight 3 areas of our CPD portfolio that responds particularly closely to these themes we've explored today so far. We'll start with people and leadership and then look at AI and digital capability before finishing with inclusive and supportive workplaces. As noted, organisations are operating in an environment of continual change. So whether that's adopting new technologies, responding to changing workforce demands, or navigating organisational transformation, that means leadership capability isn't simply about managing people effectively today. It's also about being able to lead through change, to develop others, and turn strategic plans into effective action. Our change management and leadership module, for example, focuses on leading organisational transformation, explores how to build a compelling case for change, engage stakeholders, communicate effectively, and overcome resistance, while developing the leadership behaviours needed to embed change successfully. Our mentoring and coaching module recognises that successful organisations don't just manage change, they develop people. Participants develop practical skills in areas such as active listening, effective questioning, constructive feedback, and reflective practice, helping them to support colleagues, nurture talent, and contribute to stronger workplace learning cultures. And of course, strategic initiatives also need to be delivered effectively. Our project management fundamentals module provides a practical understanding of the project lifecycle, including planning and scheduling, risk management, stakeholder engagement, and performance monitoring. These modules respond to several of the capability areas we've identified, but leadership is only one part of preparing for what's next. Another capability area that featured very strongly in our research was AI and digital. So whilst this emerged as key skills priorities alongside digital and data capability, organisations are at very different stages of adoption. Some are already integrating digital technologies into their work, while others are still exploring what these technologies could mean for their organisation. So building digital capability isn't necessarily about becoming an expert in every new technology. It's about developing the confidence to understand emerging tools, to evaluate where they can add value, and use them appropriately and responsibly. For example, our AI and academic practice module explores the practical application of artificial intelligence within education and professional practice. Participants consider how AI can enhance learning, teaching, and assessment, alongside important issues such as ethics, academic integrity, and responsible use. For those looking at AI from a broader organisational perspective, we're also introducing Foundations of AI in Business. This provides an accessible introduction to AI for professionals who want to understand how it can improve efficiency, support decision-making, and drive innovation. Through practical experience with foundational AI tools and realistic business scenarios, participants will develop the confidence to identify where AI can genuinely add value, while also considering its limitations and responsible adoption. Alongside these AI-focused opportunities, our digital marketing practice module develops the practical digital skills organisations increasingly need to engage customers and stakeholders in a competitive online environment. Learners explore digital marketing strategy, content creation, social media, and analytics, enabling them to make more informed decisions using digital tools and data. Together, these opportunities respond to the growing importance of AI and digital capability, while recognising that the goal isn't simply to use more technology, it's to use it effectively and appropriately. But building future capability isn't only about technology. Our research also points to the importance of organisational culture, communication, and workforce experience in helping people engage with change and development. And that brings us to our final area. So when we talk about the future workforce, naturally conversations tend to lean towards technology, AI, and leadership. But creating organisations that can adapt and perform effectively also means creating workplaces where people feel valued, supported, and able to contribute. Inclusive workplaces recognise the different experiences, the strengths, and support needs of the people within them, while creating cultures where everyone has the opportunity to contribute and succeed. Our CPD portfolio includes a number of areas designed to support professionals and organisations in doing this. For example, our Equality, Diversity and Inclusion module provides professionals with the knowledge and practical approaches to promote equality, challenge discrimination and foster inclusive organisational cultures. It also encourages participants to reflect on their own practice and consider how inclusive leadership can positively influence teams and organisational performance. Our neurodiversity-related provision supports professionals in developing a greater understanding of neurodivergent individuals and how workplaces and learning environments can be adapted to recognise different ways of thinking, learning and working. That focuses on creating environments that remove barriers and enable people to reach their full potential. We also offer a range of dementia practice options designed for professionals who want to enhance the quality of support they provide to people living with dementia. These promote person-centred approaches, compassionate practice, and a deeper understanding of how organisations and services can better meet the needs of individuals, their families, and communities. So although these areas focus on different aspects of inclusion, they share a common purpose, helping organisations create workplaces and services that are more accessible, supportive, and effective. And that complements the wider themes we've explored today. Building organisational capability, supporting people through change, and creating workplaces where people can contribute and develop. We've now looked at some of the key workforce priorities emerging from Skills at Work 2026, and some of the ways organisations can respond through professional development, from strengthening leadership and digital capability to creating more inclusive working environments. So I'd now like to show you how UWS brings these opportunities together with a flexible CPD portfolio that can support both individual professional development and wider organisational priorities. At the heart of our CPD portfolio is flexibility. Learners can choose individual undergraduate or postgraduate level modules that address specific professional development needs across a broad range of subject areas. And many modules have no formal entry requirements, making them accessible to professionals from a range of backgrounds and at different stages of their careers. Importantly, learning can remain standalone or, where appropriate, provide a pathway towards a recognised university qualification over time. For organisations, this provides a flexible way to target priority skills and capability needs while enabling employees to fit university-level learning around their work and other commitments. In addition to university modules, we also offer a range of professionally accredited short courses, which are designed to provide learners with industry-recognised skills and credentials that can be applied directly in the workplace. These courses don't carry academic credit, but they are endorsed or accredited by professional bodies, with learning aligned to relevant professional standards. Many also include the relevant professional exam, giving learners the opportunity to achieve professional certification as part of their training. And it's also worth noting that UWS alumni and members of the Renfrewshire, the Ayrshire and the Dumfries and Galloway Chambers of Commerce can benefit from an exclusive 20% discount on the course fee for selected short courses. And last but not least, our Help to Grow management programme is one of our flagship leadership development opportunities for small and medium businesses. It's designed to help business leaders strengthen their strategic skills, boost productivity, and drive sustainable growth. It's a UK government funded initiative with 90% of the cost covered through government support. However, at UWS, we go one step further by offering a bursary to cover the remaining £750 participant fee, making the programme fully funded for eligible businesses. To take part, participants need to be senior leaders or decision makers from small and medium-sized businesses with between 5 and 249 employees, and the business must have been operating for at least a year. Each organisation can nominate one person to take part, but even better, businesses with 10 or more staff can nominate 2 participants. The programme blends online and face-to-face learning delivered over 12 weeks, combining expert-led sessions with peer learning and mentoring. It's a great way to step back from day-to-day operations to reflect strategically and build a stronger, more resilient business. So applications are currently open for future cohorts. We have one starting next month, delivered at our Paisley campus, another one in November, which will be delivered at our Ayr campus, and a further cohort delivered at our Paisley campus in January of next year. So our main message today is if you've identified an area where you or your organisation could benefit from further development, please do take a look at what's available through UWS CPD. Applications are open for our upcoming provision. You can visit our website to explore a full range of modules, our short courses and professional development opportunities. If you're not sure which option would be most appropriate, you can get in touch and a member of the team will be happy to discuss your development needs and help identify suitable opportunities. If you'd like to explore the workforce insights we've discussed today in more detail, you can request a copy of our Skills at Work 2026 report. There's a QR code on the slide which will take you directly to the request form. So just to save folks scrambling around trying to scan that just now, we will ensure that everyone gets a copy of the slide deck after today's session so you can refer to that thereafter. Okay, so keeping to time, I did promise we'd stick to circa 20 minutes and leaving plenty time for any questions, whether that's about the findings we've shared from our Skills at Work 2026 report or any of the CPD opportunities that have been spotlighted today. So feel free to pop something in the chat or raise your hand if you'd just like to join and come into the session. Lee, if you don't mind just keeping me posted if we get any questions.
No problem.
So lots to take in. Appreciate you might want to digest this information before coming back with any questions.
We do have
Yep, great.
Sorry, Suzanne. I was going to say
go.
we have a question in from Fiona Roberts to say how was the survey representative across the different sectors? So who are we kind of targeting and what sort of response rates I think is what we're getting there.
Okay, no, great question, Fiona. I would certainly recommend you get a copy of the report so you can digest it at your leisure. So we weren't targeting any particular sector, industry or region. It basically went out as far and wide as we possibly could get it out there across all employers and employees in Scotland. The samples represented are not nationally representative, hence why we're referring to this as kind of being directional insights. It was really quite an interesting exercise, having that kind of triangulation of the data in terms of the employer respondents, the employee respondents, and it was then kind of socialised through an industry roundtable, and we kind of heard a lot of what was emerging from the data kind of echoed through that conversation. So certainly lots of food for thought for us, as well as other stakeholders. Any other questions?
Nothing so far, just a nice comment from Michelle saying thanks for sharing today's information and lots to think about.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michelle. No, thanks for joining us.
Okay, I have had a question sent just to me, Suzanne, and it's about how we kind of allocate people to the right courses. You know, if someone's considering multiple options, how do we direct them to the most suitable course?
Okay, so we would obviously look to find out a little bit more about the individual's background in terms of any sort of prior learning, whether formal or informal, what role they may currently be within in the workplace, what their kind of plans, expectations were around next steps, maybe where they wanted to go in terms of direction of travel around their career. And then we would come up with a kind of series of options that would be suitable and very much tailored to the individual, to make sure that they were making an informed decision before they committed to any learning at UWS.
Perfect. I don't think we have any more questions just now, and I don't see any hands up. I will put the CPD email in the chat as well in case anyone thinks of something that they want to check in with after. And you can reach out to the team and we'll be happy to get back to you.
That's great. Thanks very much, Lee. So hopefully you've got a note of our details, but as I said, you'll get a copy of today's slide deck, so you can refer back to any of the information we've shared with you today, the QR code for the Skills at Work report, our website link as well. But if you do have any questions once you've had time to kind of think through all the information we've shared, do get in touch. Friendly team, always happy to help. So thanks again very much for joining us today. We do really appreciate you taking your time out, especially during the kind of lunchtime window. We hope you found the session useful. Let's give you some practical ideas about how CPD can support both your people and your wider organisational priorities. So hopefully you get in touch, and thanks again and enjoy the rest of your day.